You feel lost? You don't know what to pursue in life? I got you. I know what that feels like. To wake up and know that you're not what you could be. To go on Instagram and to see guys that are in better shape than you. That have been training for a shorter period of time. To see 21-year-olds that are driving Lamborghinis, that are living the dream life that you want to live. But listen, it's not about other people. We're talking about you today. You know where you could be, but you just don't know what direction that you want to take your life. And I was just off the phone with one of our guys that's just signed up to our program. He's an absolute killer, and he wants to do better. He wants to be more, and he doesn't know where to start. And I said to him that if you want to pursue anything in life and you're unsure, pursue being the best version of you. Get into the best shape of your life. Spend 6 months, 12 months building your body. Why? Because when you build your body, you're forced to eat better, to sleep better. You're forced to cut out the things that hold you back. Drink, drugs, porn. Things that we both know the best version of you ain't doing. And if you want to build a business, but you don't know where to start, or you want to change career path and you have no idea, get in shape. And surround yourself with killers. Because what happens when you surround yourself with guys that are doing well in life, with guys that are going after it, it expands your mind as to what's actually possible. I remember years ago when I dropped out of flight school, and I remember sitting there seeing people on Instagram out in Dubai working from their laptops, and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I got a job in a coffee shop and I tried to rebuild my life. And at that time I was actually a very anxious individual because I had dropped out of flight school, a career which was very lucrative. From an outside perspective, it looked like I had it all figured out. It also looked like my whole life was paved out ahead of me. And that's kind of how it felt like. And a lot of guys that go through university, they feel like they have that security of their life paved out in front of them. And as soon as they leave, or if they decide they no longer want to pursue a certain path, they just feel like their pants have been pulled down, that the yellow brick road in front of them has just been demolished. And I got a job in a coffee shop, and I remember sitting there on my first day, and this, I have probably never said this online, but I was that anxious that I actually cried that morning as a young man sitting in his 1.2 white polo. It was a day where it was pissing down outside, and I sat there with my coffee shop uniform on. I felt like I threw my life away, and I was just sitting crying in the car. And I remember thinking to myself, what have you done, Daniel? You had so much ahead of you. What have you done? And you may have had that experience before where you've hit rock bottom, and you know that you had so much more potential and that you've let it go to waste. But I want to remind you, my friend, that game's not over. Game is never over unless you think it is. And if you're unsure of what direction you want your life to go down, as I said, do what I done. Do what so many of our guys do. They sign up to our program, they get in shape. And what is that? It's momentum, because all you need in life is momentum. It's not just talking about doing it. It's not just scrolling through Instagram, watching motivational reels. It is momentum. And that may be you asking yourself the question, what kind of life do I want to live? Who do I want to be? You might not know what career that guy does, but you know that he gets up when the alarm goes off. You know that he preps his food ahead of time so that he's eating healthy meals. He's not going to the deli counter. You know that guy isn't going out and getting fucked up at the weekends. You know that he is making healthy decisions. And see, if you just do that for long enough, if you ask yourself, what would the best version of me do? And you just do it for 6 months, your life will change forever. I used to wait for this big change to come, and I didn't realize that I had to make it happen. And I remember back to that morning in that coffee shop. I was sitting in tears. I rocked up. It was a little coffee shop called the Cheeky Cherub in Glengormley, near a little town where I used to live. And I went in and I was so anxious because I just thrown everything away. And people actually said to me, I remember there was a lady, she came in and she says, it's such a shame, isn't it, that you've just thrown your life away. And little did I know that small job in a coffee shop completely changed my life. Because number one, it forced me back into society, and it forced me to speak to people, to become an expert communicator. And when I walked into that coffee shop, I put on a performance like I was the most confident guy. And that's a piece of advice that I would give you. If you want to increase how magnetic of an individual you are, walk into the shop, walk into the gym, and just pretend that you are the most electric person in that room, that you are the most magnetic, enthusiastic guy in that room. And you might not feel that way, but pretend. And if you pretend long enough, you'll realize that you've got that enthusiasm within you and that it is no longer an act, that's part of you. And that's what I had to do. And people ask me, Daniel, how do you become so positive? How do you have the energy that you have? I pretended. I put on an act. And I realized that eventually it was no longer an act. That's something that I have within me, and that's something that you have within you as well. But I got this job in the coffee shop. I learned how to communicate again with people with confidence. I then saved up my money. This is 2021, August 2021. And I saved up my money and I spent my money in one pop. I saved up probably the guts of about £7,000, and I spent it all in one go on a fitness course to become a personal trainer, and also on a coach at the time. I looked at who's living the life that I want to live, and it was the coach that he was working from his laptop. He was going to live out, just about to move out to Dubai, and he was in incredible shape. He surrounded himself with killers. I thought, that's the kind of guy that I want to live. And sometimes you can't actually imagine yourself being in incredible shape. You can't imagine yourself living that life. So if that's you, don't imagine. Who do you know that is like that? And try and get around that person. So what I did, I saved up my money. I worked my ass off. I served so many people that I didn't want to serve. So many conversations I didn't want to have. I went to work on days where I didn't want to do it. And I'm not saying, oh my gosh, I'm not saying that this is noble, me doing a normal job. Oh my God, there's guys that go over the front line. I'm not painting that picture, but all I want you to realize is that at the time, I was so ashamed of how I'd thrown my life away that this was massive for me, just getting back out of the house and getting back into society again. And this was only maybe 5-6 years ago. So I remember reaching out to the coach. I remember signing up with him, and he taught me how to be the best version of myself. And what happened over the course of 5 months, 6 months, it was probably over a year, I got into the best shape of my life. I became absolutely dialed. I stopped drinking. I stopped taking drugs. I started looking into personal development. I started reading books, and if I could urge you to read any book, it would be Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life by Brian Tracy. That completely changed the way I think, and it made you realize that all the little stories you tell about yourself, they're just bullshit. What you think you're not capable of, it's bullshit. But I hired this coach, and he made me believe myself again. But that wasn't by chance. I had to go and get it. So if you're in a position where you're unsure of what you want to do in your life, reach out to somebody that's living your life. Reach out to somebody that has the thing that you already want. And that's what a lot of our guys, they reach out to me because they know that I can help them get into world-class shape, or I can help them get to a position where they feel bulletproof between the ears. And how does that happen? It happens through showing up to the gym day in, day out. It happens by having the same sleeping and waking time and having a healthy sleep schedule so you wake up feeling energized. It happens by having a plan of action to get you from A to B with your food so that you do make the right decisions, that you don't go to the hot food counter, so that you're making the right decisions for your training, you're showing up for yourself, you're delaying gratification, and over time, over 6 months, through making good decisions when you didn't want to, that's what bulletproofs your mind. Not just by watching Instagram reels or waiting to get motivated. And sometimes we all need people to hold us accountable. I still have a coach today, and I will always have a coach, not because I don't know what to do. It's because we all need somebody to hold us to a higher standard than we hold ourselves. And if you currently don't have that person in your life, go and get it. And you might think, oh, well, but it's X amount, it's X per month, or it's going to be this amount. It doesn't matter. And I know it's so easy for me to say, but I have been in a position where I've spent every last penny on a coach to try and help change my life. And it was the best thing that I've ever done, because if I didn't do that back then, I don't know where my life would be. I don't know how I would look, how I would feel, but it completely changed my life. And as I said before and I said again, if you do not know what to pursue in life, pursue being the best version of you. And if you're going through a tough time right now and you feel lost and directionless and you've broken up with your girlfriend like I had at the time, put that energy into something good, into getting in shape. And see, when you do that, you start to think clearer, you start to be more forward thinking, and you think, oh, if I could do something like getting into world-class shape, which I didn't think I could do, what else could I achieve? It unlocks this part of your brain where you think, oh my God, all these things that I didn't think I could do, I could do that now, because I've already proved this to myself by getting in shape. Look what I've got here. If you're watching on, bacon medallions are just about to go down the hatch. Meal 1, little protein shake, baby. If you don't have an air fryer in your life, man, what are you doing? You really need to sort your life out. Our microwave broke 2 weeks ago and it arrives today. I never thought I'd be in a position where I have blue balls about a bag of basmati rice. And you might say, oh yeah, I could just boil it. Come on, who's got time for that? Like, who's got time for that? No, I'm joking. Of course I have time for that. But come on, rice in a bag? That's who made that? Whoever came up with a 2-minute rice, microwave rice, man, the things I would do to whoever, actually not. Well, I don't mean it in that way. But back to what I was saying. I surrounded myself, when I hired that coach, I surrounded myself with guys that were on the same journey as me. And you might be living a life where your family or your friends, they're going out, they're drinking every weekend, they're eating shit, and they're not conducive to the life that you want to live. When I hired my coach, I surrounded myself with the other guys on his program, and it's the same as our guys in our program as well. You speak to people that are on the same path as you, that want to be in better shape, that are thinking the same, that want to be more, do more. And I always say to you to design your environment so that you don't need to use willpower. But most importantly, it's joining a tribe where your desired behavior is the norm. So ask yourself, do you have that in your life? And if no, how can you cultivate that? Because it doesn't just come and fall on your lap. Oh my God, these bacon medallions are actually going to be so banger. And here's the thing, you really need to get honest with yourself. You need to get very honest with yourself about the gap between the life that you say you want to live and the reality that your habits are taking you towards. You know, that best version of you that I spoke about, or that person that you want to emulate, do they hit snooze or do they just get up? Do they go to the hot food counter in the shop, or do they plan their meal the night before? Do they stay behind at work? Of course they do. Because that's the go-getter, right? And if you just emulate their decisions, then you cannot lose. And oftentimes people get way too overwhelmed by this shit by saying, oh, I can't do all of that. You only need to make a right decision once, one go at a time. You only need to focus on the one step in front of you. That's it. And that's all I do. I woke up this morning and I thought, okay, do I snooze? Do I lie in? Well, I didn't think that's true. I'm not a beta. No, because I've been doing it a while, right? You do something enough and you no longer ask yourself these questions. But, I look in the fridge, there's loads of stuff that's in the fridge. It's, oh my God, I'd love to have a big bowl of cocoa puffs this morning, but I'm having what's on my meal plan. Why? Because I know that the best version of me would do that. That's the same with you. One decision at a time. But I'm not even thinking about the gym session. I've got it on my plan. I have a Google Calendar on my phone. Like, if you haven't done this, do it. It is revolutionary. On a Sunday, download Google Calendar on your laptop or your phone and plan in when you're going to go to the gym. Plan in when you're going to do your food shop. So that when you wake up in the morning, you don't ask yourself, how do I feel? You just do what it says on the plan. You can follow that, right? You follow instructions at work, you can follow what it says on your own plan. And if you just keep doing that, then you're going to win. And here's the thing, you don't need to do it every single time. I say to our guys that it's much better to be a 7 out of 10 for a year than it is to be a 10 out of 10 for 2 weeks and throw the towel in. But if you go a little bit further after you fall down every time, then that's a win. That's improvement. That's improvement. I remember when I was doing a photo shoot. Oh my God, it was so good. Damn. I'm actually going to read something out to you here. I sent it to one of our boys yesterday. Just give me a second because I've got my app blocker on my Instagram. And I've also just gotten back from Ibiza, so we're back in the game. I actually didn't think I would be in this decent nick mentally between the ears after an Ibiza session. But you know what? Mama obviously didn't raise a bitch. We're dialed. Hold on. I sent it to Tony and Joseph. Oh yeah, here we go, right? You should be more excited, brother. Life is fucking electric. Don't fall for the doomer shit. That's for losers and normies that are scared of their own shadows. Walk around like God sent you and smile at everybody that you see. Spread light, spread abundance, build things, take chances. This is the best time in history. And that is so true. It has never been better to exist. I have just put bacon in an air fryer for 10 minutes and it came out perfectly. I can go down to the shop and press a button and it can spit me out a coffee exactly how I want it to be. I can book something online and jet off tomorrow. I just bought one of our clients. There's a cognitive enhancer that I use. It's called Alpha GPC. I just sent it to one of my guys in London. It's going to be at his house tonight. How insane of a time are we actually living in? But you don't realize it. You can focus on what's going wrong, but just think about what's going right for a second. It can be so easy to get caught up in that doomer bullshit. In that, life's not fair. What's going on in the world? It's awful. Shut up. You can't change what's going on out there, but what you can do is change your circle. People get so caught up in politics. I think it's bullshit. And that might be you might say, oh, that's such a privileged thing to think about, to say. I don't think so. My belief is that you can't change what's going on a macro level with politics. But if people spent the same amount of time that they put into thinking and talking about bullshit politics, if they spent the same time into themselves, the world would be a better place. Because you can't impact people on a macro level You can't change the politics, but what you can do, you can change the small circle around you. And that is real change. You can have a generational impact on the people closest to you, your friends, your family, the people you come into contact with, through your energy, through being a positive person. It means when, like, and what I mean by that, it means when you walk in and you walk into the shop in the morning, someone's wearing a nice outfit and you say, man, I love your outfit. I love your energy today. How are you? And you have a conversation with them and you actually are a positive influence on that person. That's real change. The guys that I work with, they become different human beings. In 6 months' time, they're in the best shape of their life. They're positive, magnetic individuals. They're go-getters. That's real change because they're impacting the people closest to them. So just be careful what you spend your time thinking and talking about. And I'm not saying I don't get caught up in this as well. I do, of course I do. But I feel like the Daniel of today, he focuses on things that are a lot much more important than the Daniel of, say, 5 years ago. I used to get caught up in bullshit. Wow, I get passionate about this sometimes, baby. Anyway, we are just back from Ibiza and I had the time of my life. We were staying in a lovely, it was actually a spa hotel, so it was pretty chill. And I had a spa in there, it was a lovely rooftop pool and bar. It was pretty cheap, but it was beautiful. And we just chilled out. We didn't go crazy. I'm not a 6, 7 a.m. in the morning super club kind of guy. I don't love that. And that would put me in a body bag doing that every day. Now, in fairness, on the last day, so Kadima, he was playing at 2 till 3:30, which is late enough for me. I was the big dog on a school night. On a Monday night, baby. Come on. Damn, it was, Jesus Christ, that was a session and a half for me. So we met Evan, Kadima. We met for pints in Ibiza Old Town. Then we went to Amnesia, and it was insane. Free drink. It was free drink, beers on top. It was class. We got home at maybe 6, 7 in the morning, and we had to get up at 8 a.m. for a flight. And I was sitting on the flight, sweating my ass off, sweating the alcohol out, in between these two Jabba the Hutt looking characters. And this lady, she kept budging me and she's like, well, did you have a good trip? I was like, babe, I'm fighting for my life here. I'm actually on death's door and you're asking me about the brand of my sleep mask. Right, usually when someone's... Sorry, I need to stop chewing as I'm talking, it's kind of rude. This is my podcast, so shut up. Usually when someone's got big headphones on like this in the gym, that's a social signal, a social cue to not speak to me, right? You wear AirPods, you're inviting people to come and chat. I was on this flight, wedged in between these two people. That's what happens when you got big delts, right? Do your lateral raises, boys. I was wedged in between these two people, had slept for 30 minutes. There was part of my body that was sweating that I didn't even know had sweat glands. And I had big headphones on, I had big headphones on and a sleep mask. And she was trying to make small talk. I was thinking, babe, I am 3 seconds away from trying to kill myself right now. And you're trying to make small talk. Lovely lady, but there's a time and place. Anyway, we made it back with a bang, slept it off, and we're back in the game. And do you know what? Real discipline, in my opinion, is being able to go on a bendy and get up and get at it the next day. It's being able to nail your food instead of being like, oh, I need a week to recover. Shut up. Back on it. And that's earning the same too. One of our boys, Chris, he's an absolute legend. I just posted him on my story yesterday. One of our killers, Chris, he posted into our coaching community group his 16-week transformation. He looks insane. He's gone from looking mid to absolutely shredded. He's just gone away to Ibiza. And I said to him, I was like, man, I want you to go and send it and light it up. Why? Because, I'm just checking my... Okay, we're good. I was just checking the battery there. I said to him, I want you to go and send it and light it up, mate. You've earned that. And you've earned the confidence by the beach and by the pool. Nobody else has handed you that but you. And he says, oh, thank you, I couldn't have done it without you. I said, man, we just gave you the gun, you pulled the trigger. And Chris also said that it has helped him so much professionally. It has given more clarity, more energy, more bandwidth. And that's what I said about if you're unsure of what to pursue in life, pursue being the best version of you. So many of our guys, they start with us and maybe they've a concept of a business idea or they have just started a business, and within 2 years they might have, like I've seen one of our guys firsthand start his business and he within 3 years doing 30, 40, 50K a month dollars. But that is insane. And that's just one example, and I'm not saying that every one of our guys is doing that, but the growth that I've seen from individuals from just getting in shape to start with, the domino effect that it has in your life is nuts. But Chris, he earned that. And if you go away and you haven't done the work, you feel it. That shows up when you're by the pool and you don't want to take your top off. So my friend, the next time you have a trip, make sure that you do the work beforehand. Make sure that you're suffering now so that you don't suffer and tarnish the experience, tarnish the memory. And I was speaking with one of our boys out in Tampa about these sacrifices, and he asked me a question about a previous podcast that I done. You remember I done a podcast? I said remember as if you listen to every single podcast. What do you mean you don't? Fucking gun to the head. About the lonely period, that lonely chapter of locking in, where you're not going out, where you're just kind of you're a lone wolf and you're just on your grind. He says, do you think that's necessary? And I said to him that the lonely chapter doesn't have to exist if you're surrounded by other killers on the same path as you. If you're in a community of guys that are killing it, it doesn't have to be lonely. And that's what I want to foster with our guys too. But if your environment, your friends, your family, they're not conducive to growth, they're gonna get fucked up every weekend, they're trying to encourage you to make bad decisions and stray you away from growth, then yeah, that lonely period is absolutely necessary, because you need to give yourself time to get far enough ahead to cement that new identity to the point where you can never look back. So if that's you right now and you don't have those positive influences in your life, lock in. And what does that mean? Lock in, bro. It means saying no to the nights out. It means saying no to the takeaways. It means saying no to the degenerate stuff, to the drink, to the drugs, to the porn. Because as I said, that's not what the best version of you would do. And you know the answer to that. You know if you need to go through that period or not. And there's times to push and times to pull. Like when I was in Ibiza there, I dieted, I'd done the work. So I thought, no, if I want to go out and have a burger, I'm having a burger. If I want to smash 1,000,000 beers, I'm going to do it, because I've earned it. And as I said to you, I can come back and then just get straight back into it with work, and you're the exact same. But if you want to be more confident in who you are, there's a gap, right? And I spoke about this in a potty before. There's your self-ideal. This is the best version of you, right? And if you're listening on, like my hands are up here, right? So there's the self-ideal, which is the version of you which is the best. How they look, how they feel, how they're living, income, lifestyle, everything. And then there's your self-image. It's how you view yourself and where you are now. And if there's a gap between who you could be and where you are now, that will eat away at your self-confidence and your self-esteem. When you close the gap between what you could be and who you are, you have self-confidence and self-esteem. And your self-esteem is the reactor core of your personality, which shows up in every part of your life. So, I know I've yapped on. I'm a Japanese here. But do the work, reap the rewards, and if you don't know what to do in your life, get in shape, have forward momentum, and the rest will follow. I believe that. Have positive mentors around you. Who do you want to be like? Work with them, befriend them, and the rest is history, my friend. I'm really hoping that because my mic's here, you can't hear me chew that bacon medallion down the hatch. Probably should have just left it, but it's my podcast, right? My podcast. I can do what I want. Not up in here. You're in my swamp now, bitch. And so we got back from Ibiza. We done Thursday to Tuesday, and I have no other. Oh, that's actually bullshit. I'm going to Budapest for 2 days with my girlfriend, with Katie, in like 2 weeks' time. And I think we're just going to go on Friday morning. I haven't booked it yet, but we're going to go on Friday morning, and we're going to get back on the Sunday evening. And I think that's enough. I think when you feel like you need to go somewhere for 7 days, you end up just seeing way less places. So I said to Kitty, okay, let's bang out a million little city breaks, see the place. You can do what you want. You can have a couple of drinks, you can have good food, and then you can come back and go back to the gulag to live your life. So that's the plan of action. And then I'm trying to think where else I would love to go. We're doing Budapest, which is meant to be insane. Any recommendations? DM me, hit me up, baby. Then I would love to do Krakow. Paris I've been before. It doesn't really excite me. Berlin, it doesn't get me going, but I think I would love to see it. I would love to do Montenegro. It's meant to be beautiful. I would love to do Positano, the Amalfi Coast. I think that's it for now. Yeah, anywhere else comes to mind? Any other recommendations that if you've been in Europe, let me know. And then I'm going to Colorado, baby. I've got booked for a speaking event, so I'm going to Colorado in the end of September. Obviously, Brian, my boy, he was out in Ibiza with me. I'm going to be kicking it with him for the week as well, which is going to be insane. So yeah, he flew out to Ibiza, which was class. It was so funny just seeing him in action. But yeah, I will love you and leave you. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. And as I said, I always just hit record and wing these. I enjoy it so much more, and I don't know whether you do or whether you don't. I don't know. You can let me know if you prefer for me to have a more structured approach, and then you can let me know on that front. But I think just voicing voicing what comes to my mind, I think I talk much more articulately. I have much better ideas than say if I have notes. I feel like I just try and stick to a structure then too much, and I think too rigid. But yeah, I appreciate you loads. I'm gonna get balls deep in these bacon meds. I'm gonna chin this protein shake, and I'm gonna light them up. This morning I actually was on crack. It was so good. I woke up, smashed a Lesgo espresso, and as soon as I finished it, had a white monster straight in the call with one of our boys. And yeah, we signed him up. We're gonna change his life, and I'm excited. And as I said, if you are in a position where you want that influence, you want to get into the shape of your life, you want your life changed, then message me on Instagram. We'll have a conversation about obviously where you're at, where you want to go, and if I can help you and you're ready to change, then we can move forward from there. But yeah, big love. I appreciate you as always. I always value your opinion on the podcast. If there's anything that you love or you don't love, just let me know. Shoot me a message on Instagram. And I'd love to hear your feedback as always. So I hope you're having a fantastic day. I love you loads. I appreciate you for listening, and I will catch you in the next one. Big love.